You want to keep recording?
I restarted the broadcast.
You want to record locally, then start recording.
What's funny thing happened on the way to the moon? That's the title of the video that I watched on YouTube. You can see astronauts hanging from wires, proving that astronauts and astronauters, they analyze photos and highlight mistakes with the moon landing missions. They show it was fake. You can see them making the photos of Earth. They use around windows to fake the curve. Well, that's suspicious, don't you think? Yeah, listen up. I watched another documentary called Astronauts Gone Wild. Astronaut Buzz Aldrin gets a little riled. All he was asked to do was to swear to God that he went to the moon, but he would not. He was faced with a moon landing denier, had a chance to show that he ain't a liar. But Buzz decided to punch that dude just for asking him to swear to God. That's suspicious. So, do you still believe we went to the moon? Do you still believe what they're telling you? Just connect the dots and thread it soon. You'll find out what I found out too. But if you question this stuff, you'll be labeled alone. You'll be called a conspiracy theory. Oh, well, but I don't care, man. I'm still gonna fix this too, because I know that we didn't go to the moon. How about those moon rocks they gave to museums? Thousands and thousands of people did see them. But one museum took a closer look. They soon realized something's afoot. The rock they were given turned out to be a fake. Just a piece of old wood, not a rock from space. Yeah, we got made the moon. We thought it was good, but apparently they had survived. In another museum sits an astronaut suit. Take a good look at the shred of the moon. It doesn't match up with the prints on the moon. But y'all still believe what they're telling you. That's bigger than me. To the moon, it's million miles away. When I can't get a signal on my cell phone line, I get phones were better than 69. Well, do you still believe we went to the moon? Do you still believe what they're telling you? Just connect the dots and thread it soon. You'll find out what I found out too. If you question this stuff, you'll be labeled alone. You'll be called a conspiracy theory. I'm still gonna fix this too, because I know that we didn't go to the moon.
You're all watching some dinner, so we didn't know. We should.
Yeah, went straight through those pineapple belts. It wasn't a compliment, nothing was felt. Now you see it's a problem. You can't get through. This problem needs to be solved.
My son especially is. So,
you wonder why they get fake when there are so many. Follow the snakes like the telemetry data. All of this is 13,000 reels. Are you kidding? Giant leap for all mankind. But you must be getting up to what's the plus. Come on, man, are you kidding? Do you still believe we went to the moon? Do you still believe what they're telling you? Just connect the dots and thread it soon. You'll find out what I found out too. If you question this stuff, you'll be labeled alone. You'll be called a conspiracy theory. Oh, well, but I don't care, man. I'm still gonna make this too, because I know that you can't go. No, there's no blast crater from the lunar module. Probably because that thing is just a model. On a flag that flutters with no atmosphere. Don't you think lights have been queer? Intersecting shadows means another light source. Do I think it's fake? Yeah, of course. The whole thing was filmed on a Hollywood set. Directed by Cameron. My best man.
My favorite.
Oh, so cool.
Whoever wins the computer, can you take a picture of it?
Get past the borders and orbit. Do you research people, I think you'll find that NASA admits that a bunch of times.
We only can fly in our orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore some Mars, asteroids. There's a lot of destinations that we could go to. And we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
I go to the moon in a nanosecond. Problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
That's on HDMI out. That's on HDMI out. Is there anything you're aware of?
Television trickery to create the illusion that you're somewhere that you're not. The green screen is what you're gonna use a lot. Or if you wear a harness and attach it to the ceiling, the illusion that you're floating is what you'll be believing. All you're watching is a puppet show. Yeah, the whole world's a stage. Astronauts, they're actors, of course, and yeah, they all get paid. Look at me, ma, I'm floating in space. No, you're not, you're lying to the human race. So let me tell you something about a zero-G plane. This thing flies up and then down again. Some weird stuff happens if you're on the inside. You start to bump as the plane takes a dive. Simply add an actor the string to the sea, and you got yourself an astronaut, or so you believe. Plane flies up and that's everyone's cue. Then action, we got some deceiving to do. Plane flies down and then everyone knows to start the ISS live show. Floating in a plane with zero-G, but you always see astronauts on your TV. All you're watching is a puppet show. Yeah, the whole world's a stage. Astronauts, they're actors, of course, and yeah, they all get paid. Look at me, ma, I'm floating in space. No, you're not, you're lying to the human race. Well, another thing I noticed when I looked at these fools, they're filming spacewalks in buoyancy pools. NASA's gonna tell you that it's just for training, to practice for space station maintaining. Well, I thought about that, but if that's the case, then why the hell can I see bubbles in space? Take a hard look at the next spacewalk and tell me if you can see bubbles at all. Open your eyes, man, I'll bet you a quarter. Those spacewalks are filmed underwater. I can see space bubbles everywhere. Hey, NASA, how the hell did those get there? All you're watching is a puppet show. Yeah, the whole world's a stage. Astronauts, they're actors, of course, and yeah, they all get paid. Look at me, ma, I'm floating in space. No, you're not, you're lying to the human race. So when you see an astronaut above the ISS, take another look at your TV set. They're pretty good at faking, so you gotta look close. Pay some attention to the way the actor floats. If you ask me, that ain't zero gravity, but Hollywood effects that I see on my TV. Take a good look at the whole damn thing. These lying bastards are just puppets on the string. It's all a big science fiction puppet show. The game's up, dance hoes, cause we all know. Thanks for the show, NASA. It's been a blast. Now take your fake station and shove it up your... All y'all watching is a puppet show, yeah. The whole world's a stage. Astronauts, they're actors, of course, and yeah, y'all get paid. Look at me, I'm floating in space. No, you're not, you're lying to the whole human race. All y'all watching is a puppet show, yeah. The whole world's a stage. Astronauts, they're just actors, of course, and yeah, y'all get paid. Look at me, I'm floating in space. No, you're not, you're lying to the whole human race, man. All y'all watching is a puppet show, yeah, the whole world's a stage. Astronauts, they're actors, of course, and yeah, y'all get paid. Look at me, I'm floating in space. No, you're not, you're lying to the whole human race. All y'all watching is a puppet show, yeah, the whole world's a stage. Astronauts, they're just when I learned in school about gravity. It was so cool. I had a teacher that knew it all. She taught me how water could stick to a ball, how buildings stick to the underside of a ball that spins like a carousel ride. Man, it all sounded crazy to me, but I love learning about gravity. I couldn't wait to tell my dad about the amazing day that I had. He picked me up, I was bursting with pride. He opened up the door and I jumped inside. He smiled at me and said, "How was your day?" I said, "Dad, I was blown away. I learned about this magical thing, but it's kind of got my head to spin. Learned about this Newton guy. When an apple fell on his head, he surmised that there must be a force that's pulling you down, and everything's being sucked to the ground. The force that stinks us all to this ball, the people, the buildings, the oceans, and all. So it was written in history. Newton had discovered gravity." He just looked at me and said, "Don't believe in gravity. Don't believe in fantasy. Don't believe nothing theory's all it is. It's never been proven, but they change it to the kids." Well, that felt a little bit sad for me when I mentioned that word gravity. He said, "Have a little independent thought. Question what you've just been taught." I mean, how the hell could a ball that spins make a force so strong that sucks everything in? Birds and insects fly unaffected. Gravity must be so selective. Think about it logically, cause that don't make no sense to me. You gotta question all those preachers preach. Question all those teachers teach. You see, gravity is just a bunch of bull. That Newton guy's just a lying fool. The these guys like you shouldn't be trusted. Their Freemasonic lies have been busted. In fact, my boy, it's density, and that's why things fall down, you see. An object always falls to the ground if it's heavier than the air that surrounds it. It's lighter than air, then it rise, it keep on floating up to the skies. That's what's known as buoyancy, and that makes more sense than gravity. So let me tell you one more time, boy. Don't believe in gravity. Don't believe in fantasy. Don't believe, cause the theory's all it is. It's never been proven, but they teach it to the kids. He said, sorry, son, for bursting your bubble, but that kind of thinking can get you in trouble. These theories they try to put in your head, it's all just pseudoscience, he said. They're you believing in all kinds of crap. That gravity nonsense belongs in the trash. Believe me when I say to you, there ain't no gravity, and that's the truth. Now, my daddy made me think that day. He made me think in a different way. I did some thinking for myself. I put that theory back on the shelf. That gravity crap is indoctrination, not truthful, trusted information. People need to wake up and see there ain't no such thing as gravity. Let me get you one more time, man. Don't believe in gravity. Don't believe in fantasy. Don't believe, cause the theory's all it is. It's never been proven, but they teach it to the kids. Don't believe in gravity. Don't believe in fantasy. Don't believe, cause the theory's all it is. It's never been proven, but they teach it to the kids.
Hello. Flatoberfest 2020 attendees, attention one more time, please. I have something to show everybody. This is a Gleason's AE map, flat earth map, that has been signed by a bunch of cool people, and we're raffling it off. If you want to get raffle tickets to win this, you can go get raffle tickets over there at that table at the end. They're $5 a ticket. So if you want to, we'll raffle this off. When are we going to raffle it off? Later tonight. So if you're interested in taking home a flat earth map with a bunch of flat earthers scribble, scratch all over it, there you go. Also, if you haven't seen, we have t-shirts over there. There's Glowbusters t-shirts, Jeranism t-shirts, Flatoberfest t-shirts, and I forgot to put Mark Sargent on the shirt.
You're worth more now.
Oh, you got some of my name too.
I forgot Mark Sargent. But, you know, you shouldn't have to say that Mark Sargent's going to be at the Flat Earth Conference. It's just understood, right? He's everywhere. Mark's not here.
He's at the front door.
Okay, we need to start getting everybody back together because we're going to start our last speaker presentation by Mr. Bob of Glowbusters. So if y'all can start coming back over here. I'm going to play his intro. Everybody should be familiar with Bob. Bob is the host of the Glowbusters show, which happens every Sunday at 12 Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and it is the most epic flat earth live stream ever. It is super geeky, and you can learn all kinds of cool stuff and learn how to debate physicists and all kinds of smart people who can be rendered completely useless against you and your knowledge that you get from Globe Busters. So,
Bobo!
yeah, we're gonna play this intro and get Bob out here.
Thanks, Bob.
Gives me a hard time for uploading and or singing this, then I don't want to sing it. And if you think I'm ignorant, maybe because we have different beliefs, well, that's on you. Maybe you haven't looked into it, maybe you have, but hey, we don't have to agree on everything. Let's do this. Sometimes don't know in the neighborhood. You see people that we should do. All these people out on the road. Like to see without they can't go. They'll say we don't come around inside. You know that must be not that you see me on the lines, but I can lie. If you wanna put the phone back on these guys, who you gonna call? Check this out. Go ahead, call them up, see what that's about. We can go around the circle and find this out. If we know the truth, I can find it out. That's the king of space, so we hit the roof. Get it, and it all seems like it's people talking to me, so when I talk to you, don't cry to me. Pick up on the line with me, line with me. We gon' call.
Thank you. Wow. So I want to intro, and it was redone by another flat earther by the name of Jennifer Spengler. It goes by Jen Spen. Jen, stand up and take. Awesome. Yes, you did a great job on that, and we're very appreciative of it. So we're going to be getting a new theme song pretty soon. We've kind of talked to Conspiracy Music Guru into writing a new one for us. So look for that coming out on the horizon. That'll be a lot of fun. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay.
Bobby Mill. Does anybody know where Bobby Mill is?
Bobby Mill.
Bobby Mill?
Beal.
Beal?
Beal.
Bobby Beal?
Yeah.
Bobby Beal. Bobby Beal. We're looking for Bobby Beal. His little girl is right here. He's probably looking for her, and she came to me, and so I stopped everything because we need to find her to her daddy.
Bobby! Phoebe, where you at? Blossom? Over here.
You got it?
I think so. I want to keep on with this girl. She can find it.
All right. Okay, continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, I'm glad we found her. Awesome. Okay, guys. So, I struggled with this presentation for a long time because, I always feel like you guys have heard everything over and over and over again, and it's difficult to come up with new material because really the proofs for flat Earth are fairly simple. I mean, we can see too far, right? That's the biggest one. And then there's a whole bunch of other ones that are kind of ancillary to that. And, I just have a hard time picking which one I want to actually do. So today I decided that I was going to pick on rocket propulsion in space. Now the reason, I think that's a good subject too. Now the reason I picked that subject is because, you know, as many of you know, we are in a very, very real battle for our channels, for our, you know, our community. And in fact, you know, just today, as you guys may have heard, the Flat Earth research group on Facebook that Nathan Thompson runs got shut down, which is really, you know, it's really pathetic that they do that. So we're really sorry to hear that, Nathan, but, you know, we'll start another one, right? Yeah, so anyway, so I got and then not only that, we had Jaronism. Of course, many of you know my partner, Jaronism, and he got a strike on his main channel from a website called allis.com. Are any of you familiar with allis.com at all? No. No? Okay, well, you know, I hate to say this, but, you know, allis.com is an outstanding moon debunking site, but they do fabulous work, but they do not like flat earthers, and, you know, they don't like to be associated with us in any way, shape, or form. So what they did is, because Jaron had actually referenced some of their material, which is under Creative Commons, they went ahead and they struck him. So I decided that as kind of a, you know, get back to them, I would go after one of their authors, a guy named by the name of Jared White. And Jared White is, you know, you may know him, he's been around for a long, long time in the community, but he wrote this article about why flat earthers shouldn't be, you know, trying to debunk the moon landings, because we have absolutely nothing to say, according to him. And it's really kind of sad, but it just kind of accentuates the point that we are, you know, we're out here and we are, everybody seems to be against us. We have so many people against us. Even the people that are debunking NASA seem to be against us. So, you know, what do? We just keep pushing on, right? So I'm going to go ahead and let me bring up his article. We're going to start touching on this, and I'm just going to cover the article, and what I want to do is I'm going to debunk the main point, point number 1 of his article today, and then in the following weeks on Globebusters, we're going to continue the rest of the points of this article. So this article right here, yeah, you should be able to see it. Okay, so it's titled "Flat Earth Fails Longitudes," right? Or why flat earthers are incorrect about the Apollo missions. Now, I don't think the flat earthers really have that much of a difference of opinion, you know, as far as what happened with the moon missions. I mean, they didn't go. It's about as simple as that. But, you know, we cite a whole different set of reasons for why they didn't go. The first thing, of course, is we don't believe that space, as it's been portrayed to us, is it doesn't exist that way. It simply doesn't. In fact, we don't really know what it is. I think probably one of the best guess that we can assume that it is some sort of a liquid. You know, the waters above, something like that, maybe. And of course, Crow 777 has taken some really amazing moon footage that you can see these lunar waves that are going across it, and it almost looks like it's kind of underwater. And it may be something very much like that. We don't know. But what we do know is that they never went, and the whole idea that they did go is crazy. So anyway, Mr. Jared White starts out here, and he thinks that this puts it away right here, this argument. He says, flat Earth fails longitudes. Why is that? Because he shows the inner circle at the first longitudinal line at 16,000 kilometers, and then he goes out to 40,000 kilometers, you know, at the equator, and then starts going back out, keeps going back out, but he assumes that in the flat Earth model that somehow those distances are going to be reduced, right? And that's kind of a ludicrous assumption, and everybody knows that this Gleason's flat Earth map is a projection of a ball that is a projection of a flat Earth. So obviously there's some crazy distortions in it. But so I don't think any flat earther out there will ever say that, oh no, around the outer edge it's only 16,000 kilometers. In fact, you know, we had Captain Cook and we had Magellan that actually circumnavigated out there, and they were on more along about 60,000 miles around the outer ice ring. which of course is a lot bigger than the 24,901 miles that the globe is supposedly at for the equator. So anyway, so he goes into that, and his little capture here says, the inability to produce a working map of flat Earth single-handedly proves the Earth is not flat. It is very easy to prove it does not work. How can the Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Circle be exactly the same length as their northern counterparts on a flat disk? Checkmate. If it were only that simple, right? So, you know, there's fail number one right there. He doesn't even understand that you know, other explorers that have a high degree of credibility have actually mapped that and made that journey around Antarctica, and they clocked it back in at 60,000 miles. So big fail for Mr. Jarrah White right there. So let me actually put my glasses on and make it a little easier to read this for you. All right. So the first part is rhetoric. So it says, if you recently learned of the Apollo hoax theory or are just looking for more information on the topic, there are many resources at your disposal. The books and videos produced by many of the original investigators are, for the most part, easily accessible online. Verification of their objections to the official story can be done either online or in a library. NASA's Apollo stock footage, books, and papers written by the astronauts and scientists involved with the Apollo project provide the official version, while archived newspaper articles cover the events surrounding the Apollo missions. Blah, 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 blah. So now down here, he really starts showing his disdain for flat earthers, and this is really too bad because you know, for him it's a very personal issue, and you know, I don't know why it should be. We are on the same page. We just happen to you know, think that the Earth has a different shape than he does. But he says, but no matter where you begin looking into the Apollo hoax movement, there is one viewpoint that produces no useful information at all, that of a flat earther. These people cannot even produce a map of their fantasy world without contradicting established geography coordinates. And he cites the frontispiece, the map we just showed a minute ago. Let alone find any valid Apollo hoax evidence of their own. To seriously claim that the Earth is a flat disk should rank as the dumbest idea ever. Okay, well, obviously he's got a chip on his shoulder, right guys? So, one thing that I think we need to recognize, and I think a lot of us do, is that one of the biggest lies, of course, is the NASA program and the idea that they can actually go out into outer space, right? And they tell us that, you know, they do this using these rockets, and, you know, they've come up with a couple other of propulsion methods, none of which have ever been used yet. Oh, geez. And somebody decides to call me, isn't that nice? That's my son. All right, well, let's just turn that off. Cammy, you want to call our son back? All right, where was I? All right, let me get back to where I was. Sorry about that. All right, so we have these absolutely mammoth, you know, Apollo rockets, the Saturn V rockets that have gone up there, and we see them lift off, and they just kind of lumber up there, and they actually go up very, very slowly. But the thing that's really interesting about them is if you watch them, and if you know anything about, you know, physics, then you understand that when something is going up that slowly with that much force behind it, it is a very difficult task to keep it balanced, right? So Jaron and I kind of posited a long time ago that what's actually happening is you have this rocket, you know, type of motor that is pushing up a great big huge balloon, right? And the balloon would provide this vertical stability for the rocket. Because otherwise, you know, one of the things that he says, you know, tries to claim that Eric Dubé says is wrong, and Eric Dubé says, well, basically the rocket would go up and it would just start spinning around all over the place. And actually, he's quite correct in that, Mr. Dubé is. And so we've, you know, tried to figure out exactly how they're doing this. And, you know, because if you ever watch model rockets or anything like that, you know that when they go up, I mean, it's like, just like that. instantaneously, and you know, at that point, the aerodynamics of the rocket take over, right? And they are, you know, you've got it's flying. You've got it aerodynamically stable, and of course, the G-force acceleration and something like that would kill any astronauts inside of it. But you know, the Apollo rockets don't do that, and they're of course going to. Their excuse for that is because that they've got such a huge, heavy payload, which again is, you know, patently ridiculous. So the other thing that they say about these jet engines, or these rocket engines, is that the way they work, and they will try and tell us that they don't need to obey Newton's third law all the time, citing Newton's third law. And if you guys don't know what Newton's third law is, it's every action has an equal but opposite reaction, meaning that if you're going to push off something like the ground or anything to propel, you've got to have something pushing back with equal force, right? So, all right, so let me actually come down to this part right here. So let's go ahead and read his erroneous claim number 1. He's going to, you know, just recite exactly what I said. And then we're going to actually look at some of that. We're going to look at the physics for that. And I'm not going to bore you with real heavy physics. I'm going to kind of hit you with some common sense thought on this, because, you know, to me, it just makes a lot more sense if you know, I'm not up here to try and convince you how smart I am. I'm up here to try and make you understand how preposterous this idea is, this propulsion in space, right? So we're gonna get to that. So let's say erroneous claim number 1. It is impossible for rockets or any type of jet propulsion engines to work in an alleged non-atmosphere of a vacuum space spoken in contest, because without air or atmosphere, to push against there is nothing to propel the vehicle forwards. And that's true. Instead, the rockets and shuttles would be spinning around in their own axis uncontrollably and in all directions like a gyroscope. It would be impossible to fly to the moon or go any direction whatsoever, especially if gravity were real and constantly sucking you towards the closest denser body. And Eric Dubé wrote that in one of his books. So he says, this is by far one of the oldest claims that is made by space travel deniers. Prominent flat earther from America, Eric Dubé, has written a book about his beliefs, and his claim is number 160 out of 200. Okay, great. Well, you know what? Eric Dubé is right about this. And NASA will give you several examples of how it works. They'll try and explain to you using thought experiments like a balloon. We're going to actually look at that here in a minute. And they will try and claim that that balloon is not pressing on anything external other than its own exhaust or its own output or air output. And that's exactly what they're saying is going on with the rocket. Pretty crazy. So let's look at this. So he says science first, and he says a jet engine works by sucking the atmospheric oxygen into the combustion chamber where it's used as an oxidizer for the jet fuel. Obviously that won't work in a vacuum. Rocket engines, on the other hand, rocket engines, on the other hand, carry their own oxidizers aboard. Liquid and hypergolic rockets store the fuel and oxidizers in separate tanks, while solid rockets have the fuel and oxidizers mixed together and as a hardened tube of explosive. Okay, atmospheric oxygen plays no part in the rocket's combustion. Okay. And what he's saying there is that, you know, a lot of people say, well, because there's no atmosphere, the rocket wouldn't even work. And it's like, well, so what they're doing is they're adding in an oxidizer or a source of oxygen, and that obviously will make the rocket ignite and go up. But the problem, again, you know, like I said, is that the rocket has nothing to work opposite of. It has no counter force or nothing obeying Newton's third law to be able to counter this action that it's going up with. So then he goes in, he gives a little bit of history on JPL and gives a picture of, I don't know if any of you have ever seen this. This is crazy, the ISS. And I don't know if, you look at this, and it's so crazy, this design of the ISS, and you know, a lot of people can see the light in the sky, and I did a presentation on this, so we can see the light in the sky, there's definitely something up there. but that doesn't mean that it was put up there, you know, by rockets in space or anything like that. So, all right, let me get down here to the point. All right, now one of the things that he says, although in fairness, some videos predating Flat Earth's 21st century resurgence also make this claim. The confusion most likely arises from a poor and outdated understanding of how rockets work. In the very early days of rocketry, it was erroneously believed that a rocket's exhaust plumes had to push against the air in order to move the rocket. And if that fired in a vacuum, the exhaust gas would simply be sucked out and the reactive forces canceled. And that's exactly right. That is exactly what we are claiming. So what they do then is they have an experiment that they try to show us. And I think Mythbusters did this. And I'm going to actually look at the one that he cites here specifically. But he goes back and he talks about Robert Goddard, you know, the Goddard Space Center for NASA. With his 1916 vacuum tube experiment, the rocket nozzle was placed at the top of the vertical section, and the circular section reduced the rebound of the exhaust gases. Okay, great. So he says that a more recent demonstration of the rockets working in a vacuum chamber. Okay, so in this experiment, a bottle rocket is stuck through the center of a wire spiral that is then placed within an evacuated chamber. Notice how the rocket's trajectory stretches the coil. Okay, there should be no question that rockets can work in a vacuum. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to actually look at that particular video. And it was done by this guy, and I don't know who this guy is at all, but it's the one that he cited. So I want to show you, you know, some of the dishonesty, first of all, that comes out of this. Because it just seems like that's what the ball earthers have left, is they will simply lie about things. They'll be completely dishonest. They will say that we fabricate results, and we don't. You know, we are as honest as we can be, and we provide all the data that we can. And there's a million, you know, tangents I could go off, you know, talking about that. But let's go ahead and I'm going to play this video and let's watch this experiment that he cites, and then I'm going to point out some things as we're watching it. So here we go. Oh, what happened? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Sorry.
Fumble in space. Also think that a rocket can
Start it over, Bob. You want to start over?
Yeah, I can start over.
I was scrolling through the comments section of our see-through model rocket engine video that we uploaded the other day, and a few comments there caught my attention. Apparently, the same people that think that the Earth is flat and rockets can't fly in space also think that a rocket can burn in a vacuum. The words hoax, space flight, moon landing, the Earth is flat were a few of the words being thrown around in there. So I'm going to run this model rocket engine in this giant vacuum tube and let you be the judge.
Oh, look at that. I'm convinced.
All right. Yeah. Yes, baby, this looks great. All is done. This is my idea to mount this rocket engine inside the tube. And what this is going to do, got this idea from the inside of a scroll compressor. And what this is going to do is not only hold our rocket in the center of the tube, it's also going to allow us to see how much force the rocket is producing. I like the fact that it's kind of like a scale.
Yeah, now, one thing I want you to notice is he's got that little coil in there, right? And he's pushing it in. But that is so incredibly easy to push. It's ridiculous, you know? And he's going to say, well, I like this because it acts as kind of a force indicator. And you're going to actually, when the rocket takes off, you'll see it push forward a little bit. But he thinks that this is, proof positive that the rocket is generating sufficient force, but not hardly. So let's keep watching here.
was just about good there.
Super good.
Yeah.
That looks nice.
So nice. Oh man. Whatever.
We got our cameras all set up. Our chamber is in a vacuum.
Okay, so the first thing we notice is this chamber that he's using, and it's this hollow tube that maybe holds a few cubic feet of air. And so he uses an air conditioning, pump for, doing automotive maintenance, and he evacuates the tube. And the one thing that he is not clear about, and he only shows this particular frame right here for just a fraction of a second, but what you can see right here is this 0.1, and that is actually the vacuum level that he's evacuated it to. And honestly, for most home compressors, that's pretty good to even be able to get it down that low, all right? So 0.1 PSI it's not a vacuum. It's not even close to a vacuum. In fact, let me show you something, what it actually is, and then we'll go forward. But this is just so ridiculous. Already he's starting out being completely dishonest about this. So let's look at this. Where is that? Oops, there it is. Okay. So if we look at this thing right here, this is a PSI conversion calculator. All right, and so if we look here, I don't know if you can see that well or not. On the left-hand side, we've got pounds per square inch, and we're converting it to torr. All right, so many of you have probably heard us talk about the torr vacuum level on globebusters. The torr level in outer space is 10 to the negative 17 torr, right? Okay, so if we do that conversion of a 0.1 PSI, right? It's right here, and we did the conversion to torr, we come up with 5.171493.186 torr. In other words, we're 5 torr. So we are so many decimal places, off of that 10 to the negative 17th. It's utterly ridiculous, because 10 to the negative 17th would be essentially a 0 and then 17 zeros before you get to that 5.171493. Right? So, I mean, we are miles and miles and miles and miles away from being anywhere near a vacuum. So that's dishonesty point number one. This is no vacuum. And in fact, if you convert this 5.171 torr and you actually look it up as to where that places it atmospherically, it's about 100,000 feet in the air, okay? So 100,000 feet in the air, yeah, hell, we can launch rockets up that high, no problem. The Go Fast rocket went up that high, and we launch balloons routinely up that high, and the military has had jet aircraft up that high, right? So it's not a big deal. It's actually about Mars's atmosphere, right? So anyway, nowhere near a vacuum. So let's go ahead and go back now that we know actually what we're dealing with. And the other thing that you need to notice is that when this rocket actually fires off, all right, it produces a chemical reaction of gases, right? And what it does is it fills that chamber full of gas. Well, gas is like an atmosphere, right? That's like filling it full of atmosphere. And you'll notice that as soon as it fires off and starts filling the gas to a sufficient point, that's when he starts finally getting his acceleration, right? So let's watch this continue forward.
And we are ready to roll. Godspeed, model rocket engine in a vacuum.
It just peters out really quick. So we get 2,500 frames per second now. This is really special. And even with all that atmospheric gas in there, it's just barely even moving the coil at all, right? And he's even going to explain that there's still lots of vacuum left when he disconnects this thing. This is hilarious.
It was a success.
Success, he claims.
It burned, the whole rocket engine burned like in 1 second. Boom, gone. It's crazy. Anyway, so yeah, so it looks like that was a success. It was pretty amazing because the entire rocket engine, which usually lasts about 8 seconds, burned up in about literally 1 second in a vacuum. It was gone. So I found that amazing. It was the exact opposite of what everybody thought it was going to do, which was not burn at all. And let's take a look inside there. Look at that, a lot of debris, all kinds of stuff in there. And yeah, our GoPro survived, a little bit charred up, but it survived. Okay, oh.
Yeah, not only that, not only is there so much gas in there, but there's particulate matter from the rocket engine itself. And you guys have to remember that rocket engine is capable of firing a little 1, maybe 2 pound rocket up to, I don't know, several thousand feet. It'll send it way, way, way up there. So it actually produces a lot of thrust. But this particular Tor, the 5.1 Tor, which comes out to be at around 100,000 feet, which is roughly close to Mars's atmosphere, it hardly generates any atmosphere, whatsoever, any thrust at all. So, all right, let's finish out watching this.
Open it up there. I'm gonna have you give it a little blow and check out all the smoke that's in there. And ready? Go. Wow, that smells good. Thanks to all the viewers for asking for this particular episode, because this one was really good. This one was a lot of fun. Surprisingly, after this entire engine burned, we still have vacuum left in our vacuum chamber. So I hope you like this video. This is a great subject. Keep the ideas coming. A lot of these ideas, if you haven't figured out already, we do listen to our audience and we integrate a lot of those ideas into these episodes, which in my opinion makes them a lot more organic and gives me a lot of ideas that I wouldn't think of on my own or otherwise. So keep the ideas coming. Keep telling us what you think and keep watching. So that's about it for this one. See you in the next episode.
Keep saying the other spot.
All right, so now the beautiful thing about this is the commenters were not fooled at all, right? You go down this and, everybody is all over it. And this is no demonstration. This is a complete fraud. He doesn't even give any response to it whatsoever because he knows it's BS completely. All he has done here is give a completely dishonest demonstration of something that he's claiming validates the possibility of propulsion of rockets in space. And he failed miserably. And the thing that really is amazing is here we have Jared White, who is a Bachelor of Science, as you probably noticed on his, at the beginning of his PDF file down here. And he actually accepts this as valid evidence. It's incredible, absolutely incredible that they do this. But see, ballers can do this. Now, if a flat earther did this, they'd call us out so quick, it would be, yeah, we wouldn't stand a chance. They'd be all over us, and it's just crazy that they can get away with it, but we can't. And it doesn't matter what they do, they could throw anything out there, and it's just simply going to be accepted. So, bad on you, Mr. Jared White, for even doing this. All right, so now what they do is Jared says, okay, so the explanation for this is really simple, and they like to use this particular demonstration, which is, again, a complete ridiculous claim, okay? So what they do is they fill up a balloon, and as you can see, it's got equilibrium of pressure, meaning that it's got pressures in all directions equally, right? And it just sits there and it floats and it doesn't really do much. But then they say, then when we untie the balloon in the back and let that pressure out the back, then what's happening is only the pressure on the front of the balloon is pressing on it. And remember, they've already claimed that the exhaust, or they're not using the atmosphere outside to push off, not the ground, not the atmosphere, but yet they're claiming that the balloon all by itself is propelling itself around. Well, if you think about that, that would be analogous to if I had a box up here, all right? Say I had a box and it was on a stand, and I got inside the box, all right? And I had a couple guys close the box, and I just started pushing all over the walls of the box, right? Pushing, you know, everywhere, left and right. And then I say, okay, guys, I'm ready for my rocket flight. Let's go ahead and unleash that back door, and I'm really going to push hard on the front, right? You guys think I'm going to go anywhere? But this is exactly what they are claiming. They're claiming 100% that it is not pushing off of the wall or the ground or anything like that. It's simply the hyper-acceleration. You have the action pushing on the front of the balloon, and that is exactly what is propelling the rocket. Now, NASA has caught some flack over that explanation, to say the least. So they will try and modify it, and they modify it with using a little bit different story. And this time they'll say, okay, well, imagine yourself on a skateboard, okay? And you're standing on a skateboard and you have a big heavy medicine ball, all right? And so if you pull your legs up on that skateboard and you push that medicine ball as hard as you can away from you, the medicine ball is going to go in one direction and you're going to go in the opposite direction, right? Okay, great. Well, yeah, we can buy that. And the reason is because you're pushing off of something that has mass, right? And you're pushing it away at a fairly fast speed. Now, it's going to go away a lot faster than you will because most people are heavier than a medicine ball. But so that is their demonstration, and they expect you to buy that. But if you think that through, then you think, okay, well, if I'm going to apply that to a rocket and I have all these medicine balls, then I've got to have a whole stock of medicine balls or mass to counteract, to be able to expulse and push off of, right? And rocket fuel does not do that. Now, they'll also try and tell you that the rocket fuel itself produces the mass. The gas is the mass. And that is patently absurd, because to say that a chemical reaction producing a whole lot of gas is actually what is pushing that, you know, multi-thousand-ton rocket up, or hundreds of tons, however much it weighs, is again completely preposterous. There's no possible way that could ever happen. But again, they have to claim that because they say that it does not push against the atmosphere or the ground. All right, so I'm going to show you now another experiment that a friend of mine did. You guys may know YouTuber Rob Durham. And Rob Durham is he's a good friend of mine. I've known him for about 5 years. He's a member of FE Corps with us, and he's been a practicing engineer for a long, long time. And so he kind of got the same idea as this, and he said, okay, so let's put this balloon thing to the test, right? And let's see if we can actually make that balloon go using its, you know, stated parameters, okay? So before I do that, let's go ahead and cover what, you know, the actual physicist explanation for how this is going to work. I'm going to just play this video really quick, and let's hear how NASA explains how this is done, in case I didn't do it well enough. So here we go.
There is equal and opposite reaction. Maybe you're thinking that's not helping your understanding very much at this stage, and you want a little bit more detail. Okay, thinking caps on, pens and paper at the ready. I'm going to be asking questions later. Or do you feel that algebra and quadratic equations really aren't going to help you that much either? Okay, you're in good company. You'll find that there hasn't been a missile man or woman in the history of rocketry that has really understood why a rocket flies by looking at those kind of calculations and understanding the rocket equation.
Yeah, so he's patently admitting, whoa. Oh, that's a good demonstration right there. So he's admitting that most people can't understand this, right? Because most people look at that and go, it doesn't make any sense what you're explaining here. So, oh wow.
Give it a minute, Bob. Give it a minute.
Give it a minute. Everybody's tied into that. That's so funny. You know, we should be able to make a physics lesson out of this, don't you think? That's crazy how it just keeps batting in. Yeah, but so yeah, well, you know what? Let's make a physics lesson out of it. What's happening there? The balloon is being drawn into the low pressure zone created by the fan, right?
Yeah.
And then it gets close enough, and then it's batted away.
The centrifugal force is blowing that air outward, and the balloon rushes in the low pressure medium.
Yeah, exactly. The balloon is coming into the low pressure area. Okay. All right, so enough of our physics diversion. Let's listen to what the professionals say about how this is done.
We actually get our understanding of how the rocket flies from a very simple understanding. It's related to that Newton's third law, and it's the reaction principle.
Oh, yes.
Now, the good news is the reaction principle is actually something that's easy to understand, because it turns out you're already very familiar with it. You might not be able to identify it and know what it is, but you're already very familiar with this idea of the reaction principle. Now, some of the times that you've thought about what makes a rocket fly, you may have got, if you're not already sure about how it works, you may have got a little bit confused by what you've seen. You may have seen, everyone has seen lots and lots of images of rockets taking off, and it's easy to think that there's a secondary action going on with the rocket pressing on the ground, and after it starts flying, you might start thinking the rocket is somehow pushing on the air, and that's how it's moving. So,
yeah, you might think that, right? You might think that it's pushing off the ground, and you might think it's pushing off the air. Maybe because it is. And we're going to prove that here in a minute, so let's keep going. This is hilarious. I cannot believe people buy this. There are people out there with PhD behind their name that buy this, right? This is just, it's crazy.
It's not always absolutely 100% clear as human beings when we see something that we can actually see cause and effect. All we can ever really see is one type of event followed by another type of event. And we tend to actually then add the causal action based on what we've actually seen and other things that we're familiar with. So in any explanation, I'm going to go from things that you're already familiar with to something that maybe you're slightly less familiar with. So the reaction principle, it's something you've encountered in very simple terms. I think everyone's familiar with this example of the reaction principle.
Remember what Eric Dubé said? It just goes spinning around out of control all over the place, right? And then what does he demonstrate? Exactly that. That is exactly what would happen. And still, they're trying to convince you that that balloon is not pushing off the air. It's pushing. The only thing that's happening is the air is pushing on the inside of it, and there is no counter force to be, pushed off of. Or they will deviate from that explanation sometime and say, okay, so no, what's really happened here is you got this air blast that's coming out the back, and that's the mass, and then the rest of the air that's coming out behind it actually presses against that, right, and propels this, multi-ton rocket, at 17,500 miles an hour. Pathetic. All right, let's keep going.
Here's an example everyone's seen, the lawn sprinkler. It's the reaction principle obeying Newton's third that makes it rotate. And you must have felt the shower head moving in your hand as you turn the tap on and off like this. Again, it's the rocket's reaction principle in action. The rocket...
Right, and the reaction principle there, of course, was the water that's coming out. The mass of the water is pushing off of and causing that to go up and down. We've all done that in the shower, right? You have the shower head and you turn up the water pressure more, it presses it even more. It's not because you have one action of pressing the shower head in one direction. There is an equal but opposite reaction off of the mass of the water that is providing that forward, backwards propulsion off of it. It's just crazy that they do this. Let's keep going.
Oh, so the jet from the rocket motor isn't pushing on something. It's not pushing on the ground. It's not pushing on the air. It is the very expulsion of the jet from the rocket nozzle, of the rocket motor, that causes an instantaneous and simultaneous motion of the rocket in the opposite direction. Remember, this is Newton's third law in play, which is that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So the action in this particular example is the jet stream from the rocket nozzle, and the reaction is the movement of the rocket motor, and thereby the rocket body as well, in the opposite direction. And the beauty of that is, and the true power of the rocket, is that it can do this in the atmosphere of the Earth, it can do it underwater, believe it or not, and it can also do it in the vacuum of space.
Oh, yeah!
Specifically because it doesn't need to push on anything to be able to make its transit. And that's what makes the rocket fly.
Yeah, bullshit. That is so true. So Rob Durham, very clever guy, decides that he's going to go ahead and set this experiment up in his kitchen. So he sets it up there, And I'll go ahead and mute this while we're playing it. But so here he goes, and he's, whoopsie, let me actually play that. And he's going to let this thing go. Oh, wait. Actually, I went too far forward, sorry. Come on. All right, technical details here. All right, Rob, what is our problem here?
Okay, Newton's third law, fifth and final test. Come on.
Okay, let's try and back it up now and see if we can actually get it to work.
Third law in action.
Okay, there he goes. So he ties the balloon up to the string and he fires it across, and of course the balloon pushing off the air propels it across the room. Easy to understand, makes perfect sense. But now this time what he's going to do is he's going to tie a piece of paper on the back, because remember, they're telling us that it doesn't need to propel off anything at all. So he's just going to impede the exhaust. I mean, it can still flow freely to each side, but it's not going to go back. So because it doesn't need to be able to push on anything to make it transit. So let's see what happens.
In the curve of the paper there. So when I let go, the air will still escape from the balloon at the same speed. The balloon will deflate as quick as it did without the paper. So according to his quote earlier, this should still move, this should still transit at the same speed, because it is not reliant upon it pushing on anything. It's the mere fact that air is released from the nozzle that provides the reactionary force to propel the balloon. So let's have a look at what happens.
So Newton's third law experiment. Test 2. That didn't go very far.
No, that didn't go very far at all. But it doesn't need anything to push on to be able to transit, right? That's what he said. And this, of course, it twists around a couple times, and the reason for that is because the paper is not quite dead centered, so it's producing a torque, which is kind of rotating it around the string. There we go again, absolutely going nowhere. So why would that be? Why would that be? I think he makes a pretty potent point there that it absolutely does have to push off of something. And the fact that the atmosphere or the gas that's coming out of the back of it is pressing on that, of course it's impeding it, it's stopping it dead in its tracks. This is common sense, you guys can see it, I can see it, but when you have a PhD letter behind your name, somehow you can't see that anymore. And that's ludicrous. All right, so let's see, well, that's that. All right, so let's go ahead and stop that. Now, one thing I want to talk about now, and oh, I hope I still have it up here.
That guy, he had to pass his finals and midterms, man.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so there was a guy, a physicist named James Prescott Joule, and it's where we get the measurement of the joule for energy from. And James Prescott Joule did an experiment and proved it's called free expansion of a gas. Now this is something you do not hear physicists talk about at all. And in fact, it's funny, if you go looking up for free expansion of gas on NASA's website, they don't even hardly talk about it at all. Why would that be? Why wouldn't they talk about free expansion of gas? Well, let me tell you exactly what it is. So free expansion of gas is, as you can see here, you have the container and then you open it up, and as soon as you get into a vacuum or another mass that doesn't have any matter in it, then what it's going to do is it's going to just expand instantaneously. So there's a vacuum here. The atmosphere will transfer immediately to the other side of the chamber without any work being done. And of course, that's one of the main things in physics, to be able to define you know, whether something is actually, you know, doing work or not. Well, if it's doing work, then there is energy being produced. But when you release a gas into a vacuum, it doesn't take any energy for it to go over, to be propelled over. It doesn't have to do that. The evacuated air, simply by the second law of thermodynamics, takes it over there, and no work is being done, and that's it. So that's why they don't like to be talking about free expansion of gas. Well, why don't they want to? Well, because on a rocket, if you are firing a rocket in space into a vacuum, and it doesn't matter how fast you know, how much fuel you use or anything like that, how big you make the explosion, it can never, ever, ever compensate for the vast emptiness of space, right? Just can't be done. The vacuum of space is 10 to the negative 17th torr, which is a vacuum that is absolutely unimaginable, and it will neutralize any atmospheric pressure instantly. This is another reason why it's impossible for Earth to be next to a vacuum, right? It simply can't happen. You've got a pressurized system next to a vacuum. Of course, they want you to believe in that case it's okay because gravity takes care of all that, right? No. And that's, of course, a different conversation altogether. But for rockets, you have the free expansion of space law, which completely annihilates the idea of a rocket being able to develop any propulsion whatsoever. So, all right. So let me go. Did that. Now, the last thing that I want to cover here, and this is really interesting, because if you go to Wikipedia and you look at rocket engine nozzles, okay, one thing that they talk about is the size of the nozzles, and you have to have an optimal size for the rocket engine nozzle for it to be able to produce optimal propulsion, right? And the interesting thing about it is, depending, well, here it says right here, it says the optimal size of a rocket engine nozzle to be used within the atmosphere is achieved when the exit pressure equals the ambient atmospheric pressure, which decreases with increasing altitude. For rockets traveling from the Earth to orbit, a simple nozzle design is only optimal at one altitude, losing efficiency and wasting fuel at the other altitudes. Well, what is that saying? Well, have any of you ever jetted a carburetor? Right? You jet a carburetor, basically what you're doing is you are tuning that carburetor for the elevation that you're at. In other words, there's an optimum fuel-air mixture that you are trying to achieve, right, to give you maximum power. Same thing is going for this, and what they're saying here, it's like they're tuning that rocket engine nozzle much in the same way that you would take your finger and put it over a hose, right? And if you move your finger over to the side, then it doesn't spray out as far. But if you really clamp it off and make the pressure go way up, then the water squirts way, way out, right? So that's essentially what's going on here. You've got a venturi that is tuning to the atmospheric pressure. But wait a minute, they said that it doesn't matter. You don't need an atmospheric pressure for this to work. And yet, they'll tell us that, you know, in order to make it work optimally, it has to be tuned for these elevations. Maybe they're talking about only going up to 100,000 feet because they can't go any further than that, right? So that's, you know, kind of the story of rocket engines and why they cannot go up into space, because space is fake, for one, and there simply is nothing for them to propel off of. It's a simple principle. It's called Newton's third law of motion, and they violate it in every instance whatsoever. So that's it. So anybody have any questions on how this works at all? About the what? Okay.
So I guess what they would say in response is that they don't need that much pressure, because in space, if you just barely move it, then you can kind of navigate over, you know, because you've got lots of space, say, between Earth and the moon, so you just barely move it a little bit. And so if they can build up enough pressure based on the gas, whether it's oxygen or something like that,
They can say that, but the problem is that you have to overcome, when you have a rocket that has several tons of mass, you have to overcome the inertia that that mass generates, right? In other words, that rocket doesn't want to go anywhere, right? Because it's so heavy, and you've got to have a very significant force. Now, once that force, that mass is in motion, then you have to contend with changing directions to be able to navigate it. And that's even more of a problem. Right, so you've got to have even more power back to that steerable nozzle. At least that's what they're telling us they're doing. Either a steerable nozzle in the back, or they use these little side discharge things, kind of like a fire extinguisher. So yeah, and I'm not saying that you couldn't generate a little bit of force. And in fact, one of the examples that they use, you know, like I was saying before, is the example of the medicine ball on the skateboard, right? You push the medicine ball one way and you go the opposite direction. Well, all that is it's a force called recoil, okay? And recoil, if anybody has ever shot a gun, you know exactly what recoil is, right? So what happens with recoil is you fire the gun, you are causing a chemical reaction in the gunpowder, the primer hits the gunpowder, it lights it up, okay? This is equivalent to what the rocket fuel does, okay? And then the equal but opposite reaction part comes back and it uses the frame of the gun to work against, which is anchored to you, which is anchored to the ground. And then it takes that little bitty bullet, you know, several grain bullet, and it fires it off at a really high speed. So great, you can actually, you know, that's a recoil principle. And you could actually take a gun into space, or maybe a bullet into space, and if you could detonate that gunpowder, you would have the bullet go one way, but really the casing, because it's so much lighter, would go a lot faster in the opposite direction. So you have to contend with that mass as well. You have to overcome mass and inertia, okay? All right, next question.
Hey, Bob. Thank you so much for what you shared tonight. My name is James, and I'm very grateful to have you here. I'm of the opinion that quantum physics is really the only science that serves us, because it is getting into consciousness and things like that nature. And just taking in everything that's been said tonight and looking at sort of the big picture makes me wonder if NASA, do you think, is perhaps a ruse, because they have to put it in our faces, right, in order to use our own creative abilities to manifest and yada yada. But would you say, or what is your opinion on perhaps jump room technology or ideas of the planets, other planes that we see, perhaps being potentiality spheres that are also planes of existence, but perhaps that those on this shadow path, which quite obviously they are perhaps accessing these realms, laughing in our faces, but they also have to do it in order to progress in their own way. So basically, you know, because I know you have so much information, I haven't been able to keep up with it, you know, honestly. But in terms of like the astral travel and things like that, have you and Jaron discussed anything in terms of that and how the occult might be into that kind of thing?
Well, there's a couple of questions there. As far as the astral traveling, that's something that I've been interested in, and actually there's a physicist by the name of Dr. Dean Radin that was a physicist at Princeton University who did consciousness studies like that. And it's really interesting, some of the experiments that they did. They were able to actually affect space in areas that were all the way across the country at different universities. They would actually monitor temperature changes, humidity changes, things like that, by having a trained meditator and also a remote vision specialist. And they were actually able to change the conditions in a particular area, okay? So as far as jump room technology and stuff like that, there is a counterspatial energy that I think all matter comes from, and that, you know, Austin and I have talked about that a lot, where it comes from the luminiferous ether. And there is a counterspatial zone there, because you have the centripetal and centrifugal toroidal patterns of not only magnetic fields, but of the ether itself. And the centripetal specifically are obviously terminating into an area that is not in this dimension, right? So, but how far they've actually taken that, who knows? You know, they may have technology like that, but I have no idea.
will say this, I put it out there into the group conscience on Reddit once, and never have I had not even a single, I think I went to the astral projection sub, and it's just like crickets. Now you can ask anything else, like, hey, astral project to my mom's basement, and you know, I'll give you $100. But when I said, hey, has anyone been to the ISS, things of that nature, so just wanted to ask for your opinion. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. All right, any other questions?
Yeah, what's up, bro? Awesome, big fan.
Uh-oh. This is Austin Whitsitt from Whitsitt Gets Us. He's our newest glove buster. There you go. Sweetheart, Austin.
Yay! So I was thinking, bro, tell me if you think this is like a pretty efficient analogy or illustration. So if you take an extinguisher and you're sitting on an office chair, you release it, it's gonna push you back. They're basically telling us that if you go up in the vacuum chamber with the extinguisher, that you still propel, right?
They are telling us exactly that. In fact, they have portrayed that in the movie Gravity, right? I don't know if you remember the scene in Gravity where after all hell breaks loose, right? And you know, the space shuttle is in shambles and everything's been destroyed. They're out there with fire extinguishers, you know, shooting, you know, stuff into space as if, right? it had enough propellant or velocity or anything to actually propel them with nothing to work opposite of. So yeah, they'll say that, but there's no way it's happening. Okay.
Hey Bob, this is Isaac from Wyoming. I have a question with centrifugal and centrifugal force.
Okay.
Which one is fake? And could you explain that a little bit?
Well, you know, that's a good question. And, you know, I've thought about this a lot. And it seems to me that, you know, they give the example for centripetal force as the ballerina, right? Or the ice skater, right? That pulls her arms in tight and thus decreasing the mass, you know, and bringing it into a more confined area. So, but as far as what the force is there, I don't actually see one. And ironically, mainstream would have you believe that centripetal force is the more valid. And they say that centrifugal force is actually the non-existent force. When in fact, all of us can swing something around, right? And we have a clear demonstration of centrifugal force there. So I have to be honest with you, that has always puzzled me because it seems to me that exactly opposite of what the mainstream is saying is actually true about centrifugal and centripetal forces.
Sounds good to me. Thank you.
All right, cool. All right, any other questions from anybody?
Great, Bob.
Thank you.
Jeremy from Delaware, and I was just wondering, based on the model rocket example we had there, even if that was at a vacuum, not 0.1 psi or 5.1 torr, wouldn't that wire that he put it on, which is attached to a frame, which is then attached to the ground, also be giving it something to push against, considering the oxidizers inside that's creating the gas in there? So even if he did get it down to vacuum, would that spring allow it to push anyway, because it's connected to something, has something to push against?
Well, no, because the spring is only acting as a mount, okay? And you know, he's trying to say that the force being generated is being demonstrated by how much the spring decompresses, right? And as you can see, it doesn't decompress very much, and it doesn't do it at all until after the gas fires and you see the gas coming back. Then we're starting to get some atmosphere there where it can actually push against it, and then at that point you get kind of a surge forward. So I mean, you can see very clearly that that is what is required, you know, for it to push forward. And the slow motion did a beautiful job of demonstrating just that. All right.
Thank you for the clarification, man. Appreciate it.
All right, cool. All right, anybody else, or can we wrap it up? All right, cool. Well, I guess that's it then, guys. We will be covering the rest of these on Globebusters, and you know, if you want to hear me take apart Gerald White, I'll be doing this on the shows weekly, because this whole article is just as ridiculous as this first point is. And you know, I get so tired of hearing these so-called debunk videos that, you know, call us flat earthers crazy, and they're just straight up dishonest and not true at all. So come and watch Globebusters Sunday at noon, and we'll cover the rest of it. Until then, thanks everybody.
Everybody, thank you for, did you guys give Bob a round of applause? I missed it, I was talking. We have Glowbusters shirts over there for sale, Jeranism shirts for sale, Flatoberfest shirts for sale over there. You guys, if you haven't checked it out. Also, these green raffle tickets I'm holding right here, if you get a green raffle ticket, we're raffling off this computer that's sitting right here that's streaming Flatoberfest right now. What?
I'm making announcements, Jack. Oh, okay.
We also have vintage Flatoberfest 2019 t-shirts, I'm told. So if you were here last year and didn't get one, maybe you can get one now. And that's it. We're gonna have One Big Love start playing pretty soon. These are free. Raffle tickets for the computer are free. Raffle tickets are $5 for the signed Flat Earth map. Okay.
What do we say? Hey, I'm sorry, guys. Karen we got a raffle going on. We're giving away a computer. Okay? A computer. So if you don't have a green raffle ticket, make sure you get a green raffle ticket. The raffle tickets are free for the computer. Just so you guys know. Free 50, free 99. So make sure you pick one up. And if you win, sell me the computer. I'll give you cash.
Get green raffle tickets for the computer at the front, at the entrance, at the front doors. I'm sorry, I only had a few in my hands. Please go to the front door. It says exit. It's by the bar and by the big Flatoberfest sign. If you want to get raffle tickets for the computer, please go back there. Thank you.
And Mike Williams. Watson wants to meet you over here. Mike Williams, please report to Watson's table. Thank you very much.
They're each a different size. Compare all the colors, each globe a different shape. If all of these were photos, man, they should look the goddamn same. Where's the continuity? There's none. It's a bunch of cartoon balls, cause there ain't no photographs. So let somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons, they're all just CGI.
When are they? And yes, in a minute. Pretty soon, yeah. We're almost done.
And we're supposed to have this telescope as it's flying past the stars. Taking beautiful photos of Jupiter and Mars. Well, I've got a strong suggestion, man. So here's something you can do. Point that thing at planet Earth and take a shot or two, because there should be goddamn thousands of photos of where we live.
Except modern.
Take one. That's suspicious.
I've been just, I've been stuck there once. I've never requested. I've been offered sometimes because, like, if they're fucking cool. I mean, obviously, I'm like looking at it. We got a group of friends on somebody tell me why. It's just ran over with like 7 friends. Karen, how long till the next thing that everybody needs to be here for?
Somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop.
Like in 5 minutes, you see how long? Let me know in 10 minutes. We're gonna have one big group. Are we supposed to do the rafting? That's what they told me. But either way, are you? Oh, that's nice. Yes, because she's here, right? She's the girl. Well,
Hey guys, I just want to let you know we got about 10 minutes until the next performance. Enjoy yourselves, use the restroom, go outside if you need to, get some fresh air. 10 minutes, let's all party.
The rest of us, somebody tell me why.
I love that song. Don't let them take your mind. You did a really good job here. Yeah, for real, like 100%. On the microphone, you're kind of monotone and like not boring, but like it's a hyper. It's not a hyper. That is that. Coordination, dedication, people, the organization, everything. So, just dope job. Yeah, I couldn't have done this good job. Well, maybe it tried really hard, but all I can tell is you tried. You know, you did a good job. Yeah, you didn't let us down. Thanks. It was very well, very professional. I got 500 flat earth books. I put them on USB.
Oh, that's what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. Like
And
every,
you want to raffle off?
I'm gonna give one. You want to yeah, somewhere. Yeah.
Hey guys, we're doing the raffle in about 5 minutes with Chris, this gentleman right here, is going to play a song for us. We're going to do the raffle, and then the party starts right after that, just so you guys know. So, thank you very much. Would you please film him
4 nasty ass people.
Check. Check. Good? We good? All right. Flatoberfest. So I've been writing songs a very long time. I've been in many bands. None of them ever got noticed. I wrote my first overt truth song on Tuesday. As soon as I had the lyrics tight enough to where I could shoot a video without reading the lyrics off of my phone, I sent it over to David Weiss, who quickly collaborated with me and made a video. And it's had some great success, over 5,000 views in 2 days. And here's wishing it goes around the world. It's a pretty relevant message, I think. Germ theory is nonsense. The viral model is false. We're both about as real as the spinning earth ball. And we can end deception. We can finally see that the germ is nothing. Terrain is everything. They tell you nothing of the truth in this place. They really force us to regurgitate, expounding dictates that indoctrinate, hiding true divinity, making chattel slaves. To theory is nonsense. The viral model is false. Both about as real as the spinning earth ball. And we can end deception. We can finally see that the germ is nothing. Terrain is everything. From the mountain buildings to the fog they call space. They numb us up and beat us down to facilitate UN agendas to depopulate. I will never take the jab from Bill Gates. Germ theory is nonsense. The viral model is false. Both about is real as the spinning earth falls. And deception. We can finally see that the germ is nothing, terrain is everything.
I should get upstairs and like water science.
It's on the offer, so we still have a choice. We were never lost at sea, so their contract is void. I'm not a tertial quid, I'm not my strong man. We are the fictions, so this will not stand. Your theory is nonsense. The viral model is false. Both about as real as a spinning earth ball. We can end deception when we can finally see that the germ is nothing, terrain is everything. Thank you. Thanks so much to everyone who spoke today, everyone that came today. I love you all. You guys are my spirit family, especially you, Mr. David Weiss. I wouldn't even be here were it not for you. Thank you. And Karen B. I love you guys. All right. I want everybody in here to give it up for one big love.
Right after we do the raffle, just so you guys know.
You need.
All right, I am going to just. Who wants to pick the raffle ticket? I don't want to pick it.
Austin.
Austin. Okay, yes, Austin, you pick the raffle ticket.
Pick mine, Austin.
All right. It is. What? Okay.
The winner's been determined.
Okay. Raffle ticket number. Do they all start 8919? Okay. The last number is 116.
Damn it!
116.
It's my ticket.
No way. 116. Awesome, 116. This computer, by the way, was donated by Jesus Freak Computer Geek. He was here, he set it up, it live streamed the whole event, so thank you to Jesus Freak Computer Geek for bringing this computer and setting it up to live stream the event for everybody at home. So everybody at home, you should all go sub Jesus Freak Computer Geek, and thank you.
All right, guys, we got another raffle. I've got a USB with 500 flat Earth books, memes, videos, all sorts of stuff. I want to give one away. If anyone wants to purchase one, come get at me. But the winner of the free USB with 500 flat Earth books on it is 891-9144. 144, guys, come on. You think that's an accident? 144? Who's got 144? Who looked at the... Come on, 144? In the corner over there? Yeah! All right, cool. Congratulations, guys.
Alright, is that it now?
Should I come back later?
What do you mean? Yeah, well, it's still streaming, and then we'll have to break it all down and put it in the box.
Shout out. Research Ace! Research Ace McCall! Research Ace!
Is that it? Did you already give away all your stuff? Yeah. When do you want to do your raffle, Nathan?
Yeah, I'm on the poster.
Do you want to do that? No?
Look!
Okay, we still have one more raffle. Okay, there's the raffle for the poster. If you want to get tickets to win the signed Flat Earth framed Gleason map poster, there's tickets, raffle tickets for that. Those tickets are $5 a piece. You can get them at that back table, and we'll raffle that off a little bit later.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have One Big Love play some music, and then I have a super special surprise shortly after One Big Love plays. So the excitement is about to really get going. It's gonna get lit.
I was just curious what you got up your sleeve.
No, look, come here.
Uh-oh. This is going to be good.
That was fun. But when you came back, you increased the pressure by then you're basically going to get you can push up your sleeve, you get it back, you can see your arms right to stay. That's all you're doing. You're not going anywhere. Push forward and turn down. You're talking about that you're pushing on something. Like I just want to go like that. It's real simple. So much more. What's that?
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Check. So this will be my channel. Welcome to Flatoberfest. Yes, thank you.
Are you guys in control of the sound? And thank you guys for having all this and bringing the equipment, man. Gracias. No habla español, yo japonés though. We like the mota.
Can I get a little of this in these monitors? I'm half deaf.
We have Japanese, man. No habla español. Poquito.
Check. Okay, there I am. Thank you. Oh, yes. Oh, Ace McCloud.
Wow. And we're very thankful to be here. I
haven't seen you.
It doesn't matter if it's a pandemic, Hurricane Hugo, or someone lost someone. We're always thankful. We just want everyone to know that we're grateful to be here tonight. And we're very mindful that there are kids here as well. So regardless of how you may sing, and we may sing, see if you can listen to the lyrics, and maybe we'll get a hug after this. 6-foot hug, whatever you need.
We love all y'all. They've been controlling the way that you think before you were born now. That is a shame. I am not different. I am not special. I am like you. We are the same. Life is just joy, pumping up pain. I like the sun shining the rain. I like the feeling of knowing that I almost died I'm back now. I'm back in this thing, and I'm about to give thanks. About to go harder than tanks. Get off my page. We ain't the same. Harder than pedophile jokes and the Golden Globes given by Ricky Gervais. He mentioned those Hollywood pedos and everyone's breaking their necks just and look at Tom Hanks. Don't that make you think? Go back and look at that day. Go back and look what they say. Look at that look on his face. Fast forward today. Bill Lucifer Gates wants to develop a Hanksy to pump through your veins to poison the forest with gump DNA. See, we are the trees, the ones that stand tall. United we stand, divided we fall. It's us against them, the evil cabal. This is a roll call. Killing billions, making trillions, that's their agenda. They ain't trying to heal us because they hate us and our creator. They want to vaccinate, eradicate, and Bill Gates us. Test, stick 'em, test, stick 'em, test, stick 'em, run. You ain't fit to stick me, Bill, I ain't the only one. Test, stick 'em, test, stick 'em, test, stick 'em, run. You ain't fit to stick me, Bill, I ain't the only one. Right. Stick 'em. Go to a whole bunch of different kind of songs, traveling to America, the home of the drums, the home of folks. Extreme against the soul in the bones. Welcome to America, the land of the slaves, the land of champions, the ladies on federal brains. Energy, energy, energy. There was some time for me to explain. It's not that I can't shower, but once in the pain, it was in the pain. The pedal all down and started the flame. False flags, scheming train, big snow, acid rain, mind control, better watch your brain. Just like I'll be here, just like I'm trying to you know I got it, you know I got it. I don't get the heart, follows, the more hard that's talking about the to America, the mark of the beast, the land of the entire state, the fake police. Welcome to America and back to sleep. Enjoy your willful suspension of disbelief.
Thank you. You cannot jump on the stage. That's crazy. I love the system, man.
The system sounds great.
Keep going, man. Keep going, keep going.
Literally, he can jump over here, don't jump over there.
I can't, man. It's the bass. Is this our song?
paper trails to prove it. What you see, it's not so. But after we have not reached the firmament, nothing around you is permanent. Please do not read the lies, just put Can I get a little bit of more music in the monitor? That's all we need. Just put that thing right there. Beautiful thing. Give me some music in the monitor. I'm going to be right on. I'm thinking off the back of the wall. Great. Check. So, Chris, Nathan, just with the next song, I'll keep it. This will be music. If I can.
The monitor is beautiful, like
Sounds
vocals.
wonderful. Yeah, the vocals are great, but I just need more music.
I can't hear it. Like, it's all good. Let's do it, man. Let's do Criminals and bring it down, man.
Hey, guys.
Man.
So, yeah, we're about half done. So we're going to take some more music in here. The vocals sound wonderful. This next song is called Criminal. So listen, I just want to say this. Our main goal is to iterate that we don't need anything but God in ourselves. We don't need the state. We don't need a lot of the stuff that people think is actual, we need truth and we need each other. And that's our main takeaway. Hope you can understand that by the end of the show. Check. Check. Maybe a little bit more. I'm deaf. Just a little music. The voice is good.
I love it. I love that bass on this. It's crazy.
Yeah. This is amazing. Come on.
Hey, listen.
Supplying it. From all this right here, and I feel medicinal. What's the difference? What you rolling when I see this? So moving digital, always with spiritual blessing is thing. Who don't need the visuals, reader and critical statement in miracle. Can't rely upon the state of the miracle. That's the problem. The educate without federal funding. Politics in the keyboard, squirrel, correct punching. Spores, over water, amber with waters all abundant. One question for your heart. Can you quote just one scripture for me? If we
mean in the street, you witness it, I'll be like, why you so mad about things you don't know? Why you believe everything you were told by your teachers when you were just 7 years old? What if it's God? You're just wrong. We can show all the things you are willing to give all the things I'm in. As you watch the ghost, we are the children of our Father in heaven, the King of the generals over your head notes. See faces we wait for walking like witnesses, there is no fear in us. There is no fear in us, there is no fear in us, there is no fear in us. Walking like witnesses, there is no fear in us. There is no fear in us, there is no fear in us. 2 Timothy 1:7. Shout out to the sound system.
Okay, so listen, this next song we wrote like 2004, 3. It's about the Federal Reserve. So this is what you guys need to understand at this junction, okay? It's almost antiquated. They're going to reveal to you that the fractional reserve system is bad, duh. What they're going to offer is a quantum banking system. There's going to be no intermediaries between you and your bank holder. Every person is going to get an address. Banking the unbanked is their goal. So whenever they reveal that the financial fractional reserve system is gone, it's only to be replaced by something more invasive. The mark of the beast is coming, you know, maybe not tomorrow, but the substrate is being laid as we speak.
I wonder what percentage of the people, what percentage of the people know that the Federal Reserve is not really part of the government. This is our DJ John C.
So we call that Mr. Jackson because Andrew Jackson, you know what I mean, quote unquote president, has got horrible things, of course, because that's really their position. But he dying words were undefeated the bank. The banks are back in full fledged, so get ready for the great reset.
Thank you kids for dancing and acting like y'all love our music so much. And you kids too. And you kids too.
The very first song is called Earth Music for.
When I grow up, I want to be just like you.
There will be no cuss words in our set because we represent not cussing for the kids and dogs. I see the dog in here.
Okay.
I'm sorry, children. Absolutely. Thank you for the correction.
I have a 2-year-old daughter, and it's
Trust Jack.
You know what I'm saying?
In the house.
I got all the hormones. You know what I mean? My wife's harder than me. Y'all know how to make a hormone? You don't pay her.
Next.
Kids, they don't get that, so I can say that. Huh? My grandma told me that. You got that. Pizza. Pizza. Pizza.
This current administration got me jumping out my seat. You know that. Pizza. 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 Masterpiece. If you don't think they're gonna kill you and your children, you better check Agenda 30. That's depopulation by the millions. Pizza. 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 I need some. Keep it out.
And you
Hey man, goodness, this place has some bass.
wow. Party. Oh, chef, on top of the Barbasio.
Hey, listen, what's those songs?
We got a new song.
Huh? Get what you can. So, hey, listen.
Loud and noise.
This song, I literally say, hey, well, it's fitting. It's 2015. We wrote this in 2014, and I modified it for 2015.
We got a new song.
But it's 2020, so check this song out. It got Flat Earth in it.
What that mean?
That mean it in there.
I don't know how much I can take of this.
You guys are blessed to be here. Stay that way.
Well, anybody you listen to us,
Tears on.
What you can, and what you get, and you think about this, when you burn your experience, or you inside the real, and you're raising your kid, or into your neighbor, you reach what the soul of your neighbor, you can what you get, and what you can, lay your house, so you understand, you get what you can, and what you can. Man, we gotta bring it down. What's next? You know this is jealous.
Hey, yo, okay, so this next song is, I own a hemp shop.
What is it?
And then after I opened my hemp shop, I had inspired to write this song. It's about hemp, guys.
Actually, this song is about chicken nuggets. You like chicken nuggets?
Yes, fill my bowl up.
Yes, they like chicken nuggets. There's a hole in my bowl, so plug it with a nugget. Plug it with a nugget. Plug it with a my bowl. Plug it with a chicken. Plug it with a chicken. Plug it with a chicken. She got the high
Man, that's how it goes now. We're not going to bring everything down to the bill. Are we too loud out there?
So loud.
No, he said Zulu, he ain't had nothing tonight. He's got a very good perception of how loud it is. I trust you. What's next? Okay, hey, so check this out. This next song is a very long song about Ronald. Put your ears on. In our state, Sherry Berry is a little lady that's up and down on the elevator. Life, like Gage McCloud and Karen Beals in this video. Life is like that. This song is, loosely about life and our struggles to live inside a body.
Oh, this song is long, bro.
Yo. This is a lyrical song. It's about lyrics. You want to do this song?
Yeah, I mean, it's just long.
It's a long song. Down, like Sherry Berry. Like Sherry Berry, you know.
like cherry berry. Down like cherry berry, push them up like cherry berry. Cherry berry, you can go like cherry berry. Hey, 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 wow. You gotta believe in Don't just take your toe, got you making you own. So there's I better for it, keep it on the knowledge to like, whoa, oh, lazy to your own. Oh, you lazy, baby. So complain about me home, so they never don't even know. Get out your mama's home, get out your mama's home, bro. Think that y'all be home, huh? I just want you only ever sucking like the hater. Come through, break your free trader. From your way and your way. Get this about how to get it. Don't find it out. I'll be out there, never take it. Around like Cherry Berry is going down. Like Cherry Berry goes. Push up like Cherry Berry, goes up like Cherry Berry, to the top like Cherry The overpopulated cities are just crowded. The hurting people into them by burning their surroundings. It's how we come together like elevator doors. Don't you think it's how we come together like elevator doors? We going up.
That's a lot of words. Let me guess, you want to do a new song now? Hey, listen, guys. That's a lot of words. We love you guys. Thank you for sticking around. We're going to play a brand new spanker. But after this, it's important that you stick around because it's a huge surprise. Karen B is going to come up here and we got a little Richard. It's going to be crazy. So this next song, I got to tell you a little preface. This song is about human rights given to you by God, not state rights that they take away from you and then try to sell you back at some cost. And then side note, this is a true story. I don't know why I'm saying this. On my birthday this year on July, I woke up with this dream. I was dreaming I was foot racing everybody in the living room, and I was whooping everybody. I was the fastest kid in the living room. I mean, I was just smoking, like, shoo, shoo. Feeling very confident. I was getting ready to go, and one guy, a little kid, he said, "Yeah, I'll race you." I was like, so we took off and we started racing. And this was in the living room because this is a dream. But someone threw like a desk in front of me to kind of throw me off. I jumped over the desk, finished the finish line, jumped back on the desk, and I started singing this song more than a few times. John C., y'all don't see me wake up laughing, right? At shows. Hold on a second. In my dream, I was on this desk celebrating, and I was laughing. I said, "Every day I wake up and I'm winning. I don't really wake up and I don't win." So I just thought I would say that, and just goes. Well, he don't feel stupid when he's singing. Later on in the set, sometime tonight, nobody knows when it's gonna show up. You know what I'm saying? Stay blessed. What are you talking about? DJ's hate talk. It's the first time ever we performed this, ever. This is a world release. If you thought we messed up before, watch this. I suppose I need no reason to exercise my freedom. If you should conceive of the day about to go, I just call it like I see. America is bleeding. Wheel up! It's a little bit slow. I feel like it's slow. Wheel up. I was wondering why I felt so slow. I was like, man, this song. Are we right or is it us? Are we slow? Oh yeah, there it is. He done hit the CBD. You was gonna walk away too. You knew it was slow. You was gonna think we could just do it. Okay, this is how it goes. I suppose I need no reason to exercise my freedom. If you should, if you need them, cause they about to go. I just call it like I see you. America is bleeding. This melting pot is steaming. The top's about to blow. I suppose I need no every day I wake up and I'm winning. I don't really wake up and I don't win. Every day I wake up and I'm winning. I don't really wake up and I don't. Life is hard. Every day I wake up and I'm winning. I don't really wake up and I don't win. Every day I wake up and I'm winning.
I don't really wake up and I don't win. Say yes. I'm a I'ma stay with blessing, I'ma go about my day, giving thanks and helping those who need it everywhere I stay. Staying strapped and humble seems to be the order of the day. I am thankful for my family, every breath I take, all let me educate a reason to exercise my freedom, and you should if you need them. The day about to go, I just call it like I see them. America is bleeding, this melting pot is steaming, the pot's about to blow. I suppose I need no day about to go. Every day I wake up and I'm winning. I don't really wake up and I don't win. Every day you wake up and you're winning. I don't really wake up and I don't win. Thank y'all so much. Karen B is gonna come up here and we got two free shirts. A wonderful surprise.
Does this kid want to show you?
Karen B, K-Ron.
Ask your parents if you can have this shirt.
Thank y'all so much for OVO. That was the last one.
Ask your parents.
Anticlimactic, I know, but thank you so much.
Man, y'all are good.
Yo, you can find us out, yeah, so all our music is like free. Just go listen to OVO Music on YouTube. It's real simple like that. OVO means Osama bin Laden. OVO means one big love. One big love under God, and not like, state-sponsored love, state-sponsored anger, state-sponsored fear. Stay away from that, guys. One love. Thank you so much.
Hey, Nat Noise, thank you so much for being here, man, for all that. We're going to switch these mics out.
So many people. I
I apologize about that.
Does he have it? Oh, she wasn't kidding about the sure you have that. Yeah. Yeah, they got. That's all they got. But no, I actually had it in a display. So that was just one of them. I didn't even mic at all. They that's an idea. They got good. They got good voice. They did. You can tell. I think that rappers use the rappers now. They yeah, these are baseballs. How many people heard of them? Yeah, well, the mains are all baseballs. The monitors are everything's self-powered. They're pretty damn heavy, but these are the, I call them junior, these are not the touring speakers, these are about another 2 deeper. These are just more for like this kind of thing. When I was randomly visiting, they were doing on that day, we got this had a great and I was like, okay, these are great four cabinets. And this is, there's only a little bit of baseball in the southeast right now.
No. Oh no.
I said, man, you must be crazy. Where the hell is your tinfoil hat? But he spoke with such conviction, and he believed the words he spoke. But something deep inside me knew this couldn't be a joke. But why would he believe this? Why believe such things? Because everybody knows the earth's a ball, but it spins. Well, you must be pretty crazy if you think the earth is flat. Because we all know that it's in love, and that's a simple fact. What about the photograph?
I need to talk, everybody. All right, it's time for my special surprise. How long is this cord? Okay, it's not a festival without a piñata, right? It's not a festival without a piñata. Okay, so we have, this is the first one. Mark, sorry. No, sorry, my darling, I just put candy in this piñata. Candy's bad for you, it rots your teeth out. Sugar's horrible for you. Huh? No, there's no vegetables in here. Yes. You guys want to beat this up? Why do you want to beat it up? All right. Okay, but you have to hit the piñata blindfolded. That's how it works. You get blindfolded, and then we spin you around, and then we give you a big stick and get out of the way. All right.
We got a lost and found. If anyone lost a hat, there's a hat right here. If it belongs to anyone, it'll be right here on the table, just so you know. All right, kids. Let's beat up the COVID.
Yeah, there's no candy in here, but there is, inside of this piñata, though, there is
a virus.
Well, no, actually, it's inside of that. One of the things inside of that piñata is the new book written by Amanda Vollmer called Healing with DMSO. I'll tell you a quick story about Amanda. She's really awesome. I ordered a bunch of stuff from her store. I ordered like well over like $150 or something worth of stuff from her store, including her book, and UPS hijacked my package and held it hostage for a month. And they turned it in to the freaking FDA, and they searched my package and charged me a bunch of money to get it over the border, and it took over a month. Anyway, before I got it back, she sent me a whole new package with all the same stuff in it, because she's awesome. So inside is the book, the second book. I kept one, and this is the second copy's in there, and it's inscribed to me, but it doesn't matter. It's still hard to get information. And then there's also vouchers for free tickets to next year's Flatoberfest. Inside there.
I love those glasses. All of them.
Okay, so, okay, Elijah, come here.
See, we don't put others what we said, and yours was truly black. I feel on the inside, and I know that that's the right.
Oh, and that's
everything that you've ever seen. But as for flying to the moon,
oh shit, okay.
That's what NASA gets in me, to hide the earth is fine, you see. If they can get you to believe you're on a spinning ball. Things like God and creation just make no sense at all. It all exploded from nothing right in their theory of Big Bang. This true satanic mind that you're looking at Freemasonry gang. You see, it's only Freemasons that get to go to space. They're the evil bastards who are lying to your face. Yeah, that's pretty evil, and the whole thing is such a fraud. The only reason they exist is to hide a loving God. Oh, this is fake. Everything that you have ever seen. Every time that you believe. My friends and lights and stars you can see. Just take some time to enjoy it, and the truth will set you free. Free, their lives go take some time to look into it.
Oh yeah. All right. Oh.
I was waiting for the whole lot.
Turn the flash on. Need the flash I'll take it right here. Oh, never mind.
That was my worst.
Let's keep the party going!
Till one day, when I woke up, when I drank some truth in my coffee cup, I learned the things they want to say. The so-called reality is just a dream. There's deception everywhere that I look. On news, the TV, and in high school books. And pretty soon I'll realize
I'm in the chat all the time, do whatever, but I've never
I'm blindfold on.
Oh my God! Just swing like Quartet from Boston.
Pretty soon I realized I was taught was a pack of lies, so I stood at the heart. Yeah, I found the flatter conspiracy manifesting like a ton of gas. The globe I was taught.
Turn around. Marco! Polo! There you go.
right, Brian killed COVID. Right here.
Single-handedly defeated COVID-19. Our hero is our
Right, do you want the book?
I already have it, so. Awesome. Parents, quick question. Mark says I'm gonna group picture. I don't know if you want to do a group picture on the stage or anything. Leave it up to you. Whatever. Okay, oh my gosh, thank goodness.
Okay, I have one more pinata, y'all. There's one more.
I'm going next.
This next pinata, here, can you go get it, Ted?
Did you do the roll for Moody yet? Did you do the roll for Moody? No, because I'm waiting to get the rest of the footage. So wait, so okay, all right. Oh, yeah,
Well, there it is. There's the Big Daddy pinata. You guys, I hope you enjoy the pinatas. I made these pinatas for you. I spent the last 2 weeks making pinatas for you. Look at this is my Big Daddy pinata. There's some cool flutter swag in here. There's some cool stuff that Mark brought, DRT Rich brought. There's some cool stuff in here. This is Lil Chubby. Yes. Lil Chubby.
3 people know that the one day last year. Good for number 2. Great stuff. So, wine in the middle. So, Earth, throughout its life, and we have a little wider so it's not actually a sea. It's oblate. The fish is oblate. Not only it's slightly wider below the equator. So, it turns out the fish shape is bigger than the height of Mount Everest above sea level.
How much higher is the
favorite co-video, right?
How much higher is
this? 20,000 foot mountain, which is right there.
All right, go.
Yes. Right there.
Alright, destroy the pinata, give the swag, give the swag, give the splatter swag. Stop Neil's face, find Neil's face and stump on it.
Okay, we need to, oh, I knew it.
Where's the guy who won the computer? Oh, he's right here. Never mind. Sorry.
Is this where he wants me to take a picture of you? Or Brian? Maybe take a picture of us as well? Yeah, yeah. In the computer. I don't know how to do that. Well, you said. There we go. All right. So I want to shut everything down and copy some files, and then we'll put it in the box, and it'll be ready for you to take out. Okay. Well, I'm not going to shut it down right now. I'm going to copy some files, and then it's all you. Got it. No, right there, right here. I got it. Yeah, I need to use the USB thing to copy files. Are you doing something?
No, you should find out, right? Oh, it's your, this is your charger.
I don't.
It's your charger.
Oh, okay, but I don't have a phone that takes too much.